Okay, good morning. I am with this stream. I had intended to post this at 3 o'clock this morning, but I had some technical difficulties. However, I think it was in the setup that I had going on, so I'm on a slightly different setup. So let's get to it. Um, I said that I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not defending Candus. I'm not defending Dawn. I'm not defending anyone. I just feel like there is a lot of uh, misrepresentations, a lot of rumors, a lot of false information out there that is harmful, hurtful to the investor. It doesn't really facilitate making it easier to find Summer and either rescue or recover her or to get to the truth of what happened. The only thing that is going to save or find Summer is the and I just think that we need to leak some of the rumors and other stuff that's going on out there because I mean, take for instance, even with the red truck thing, there was a rumor, and I don't remember where I saw it, but I clearly remember reading it, so it had to be in a post on like Facebook or something, or either in the comment section of a video that I was watching, but it seems like it was a post on social media, but someone said that the truck had been found, that it didn't have a tag on it, and something else about it, but they were saying that the police had cleared the truck and it was no longer, um, they weren't looking for it anymore. It had been cleared from the investigation. I remember reading that with my own eyes. So then we come to find out that they actually are still looking for the truck. So you get to getting into rumors and just people saying stuff and running with stuff that's not uh, given or verified by law enforcement or verified in the media as coming from law enforcement and being factual information, uh, then we run into uh, issues. Uh, Another thing that I run into a lot is about this interview. There is so much being said about this interview still, and I'm going to change the quality on this video because apparently it's not loading. We're all very familiar with it, so it doesn't really need to be in some super high definition. Not sure what's going on with my Wi-Fi. I have super fast gamer speed internet, so I'm not sure what's up with this lag. Okay. In this interview, some things have been said, like, and some of them are minor and don't really have a lot of effect on the case, but it does have a lot of effect on public perception of like Candus and Dawn, and it um, affects the way that you think about them, the way the energy that goes into this whole situation. Like it, people are saying that Dawn said Summer liked pretty women, that she gravitated toward pretty women. But I'm going to show you in this interview that he never said that. Candace said pretty women. Dawn said professional women. Also, there is a talk about who shaved her head, and people have been making a big deal about that. And I mean, it's even getting into wild theories about how the head shaving and SA and it's a sign of this and it symbolizes that and just you don't get I don't know how people got way off in left field on this about shaved hair, you know. But again, it influences the way people think and the way that they see these parents, this investigation, this whole situation. Uh, this interview was posted on June 29th, so that would be exactly 14 days, exactly 2 weeks after Candace doesn't seem very affected. She's not crying. She's not showing any emotion. Um, I'm going to talk about that. Wow, I've got my like sound check in my ear on another device, and this is some major lag. And play this interview, she said the boys were watching TV. In another interview, she said that the boys were playing Minecraft. And in another, she said we remember the video down by the swimming hole, and she said they were watching TV and sleeping at the same time. And so people are saying, "Oh, she must be lying. She has to. She doesn't even know. She can't recount a story." Here's the thing: when you have kids, and I have several kids, my kids were all within a couple of years of each other, uh, pretty close in age. I think they were like 2 years apart, a year apart, so pretty close in age. And usually, when I spoke of my children, I didn't if somebody asked me what they were doing, I might not individually say necessarily, oh, well, she was watching TV and she was playing with dolls on the floor and he was playing with building blocks. I might just say, oh, they're in there watching TV and playing, or they're in there watching TV, or they're in there playing, even though each of them is doing a separate activity. I might just refer to it by one or two of the activities or generalize it in some kind of way. So I can't say that she is lying or leaving anything out or trying to hide something based on the way she um, told what the boys were doing when she went over there, simply because I know how I would speak about my kids. Um, let's watch a little more, please. This is another key issue where people say, "Oh, she must be lying." Kids don't talk like that. No, a lot of times kids don't. But we as parents tend to interpret what our kids say, and that starts all the way from the time that they're talking. You know, um, they might be just learning to talk, and their word for their bottle is Baba. So if your kid comes in saying Baba, Baba, you might, in speaking to another adult, say, well, she came in and said she wanted her bottle. Your barely talking kid didn't come in and say, hey, mom, I want my bottle. She came in and said, Baba, but you knew what she meant. So when she says, they said she's down in the toy room playing with the toys. They might have just said she's downstairs. She's in the playroom. She's playing with her toys. But her way of conferring to us, when she speaks to us, she's conferring us a full meaning and not exact verbatim what the boy said. Okay. If there's anybody in the chat, are you hearing an echo? I'm trying to check my setup. Let's take a breath. Yeah, I know you hear me. And then we might go and check physically and look. And that's not a sign of necessarily of bad parenting or of some type of neglect or deficiency on her part. It's just simply we don't always go all the way into a room, and that's not just with kids, that's with anybody. Adults, kids, whatever. We don't always go and physically check the whole thing. I think this is a better little setup with these headphones. Okay. Let me get a sound check real quick. Mic check. And I see. I don't see it. Okay. There it is. No? Okay, back to the video. Okay, I'm gonna rewind that a little bit in a second so that we can listen to that part that he just said. But I want to go to what Candus was saying about the red truck. And she said she's never seen or heard of that truck until just recently. People have said she is lying about that. That she must have known whomever was driving this truck, blah blah blah. Y'all have all heard all the rumors. Basically, anything Candace or Don said, somebody finds a way to say that it was a lie. Here's the thing. I'm not sure what the actual term for it would be, but I call it environmental awareness. When you live in a place, let's say you live just in a neighborhood. I grew up in a neighborhood. I may not have personally known everyone in my neighborhood, especially people that lived on the same street a few blocks away. But I knew cars that were regular, cars that regularly passed by my house. I knew how they sounded, I knew how they looked. I might not have even known what the driver looked like, but I might be familiar with, say, oh, that's that white Ford passes by here every day about this time. Or that's that squeaky Mitsubishi that comes through here all the time. They should probably get that fixed. And then you'll have maybe a car that comes through and you're like, oh, never saw that one before. Wonder where they came from, you know? So you would be surprised how aware we are of people and things in our immediate or normal environment without really paying any attention. It's kind of like I heard one time when someone was saying the easiest way to teach someone something is with music. And they gave an example of the Folgers song and they started singing it. The best part of waking up. And most people would just automatically finish that off with it's Folgers in your cup. Nobody ever consciously made an effort to know or learn or memorize that song, but you hear it so much in the background that it just became a thing. You knew it. So in your normal environment, you get used to things in the background. And so abnormal things stand out. Or if someone were to ask you about it, like they asked her about this red truck, you might be like, yeah, I know I've seen that truck before. Or no, I've never seen that, like she said. Now, about the shaved head, I think the misunderstanding of this comes in with improper use of pronouns. Um, the way that he said it, because he said a whole lot of she, but there was no direct, like, which she is she. She shaved her head so that she wouldn't feel bad. And I believe what he was saying is that a continuation of Candace's story, she said that she had shaved her head and that Summer saw that her mother and her brothers all had shaved their head. They had really short hair. And so Summer tried to shave her own hair so that she could have short hair like her mother and her brothers. That's basically what Candus said. Don attempts to continue the story and clarify it with the she shaved her head and she shaved her head and da 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 da. And I believe what I hear him saying is that Summer attempted to shave her own hair. She messed it up. He even says you can see it in the pictures, in some of the pictures. I took that to mean you can see how she tried to shave her own hair and messed it up. He says, so she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad. I took that to mean Candace went ahead and finished shaving Summer's hair so that Summer would not feel bad that she had this messed up haircut. And she now has a haircut that matches her mother and her brothers. That's what I heard. Okay, I'm gonna mute that. I see that it's running into some issues. This was another point that people are having issue with is that Don said, I knew immediately that she was abducted. Okay. In my home, I know when I walk in my door how my home should feel, what should be where. I might not consciously remember putting a certain item in any particular place. But when I go to look for it and it's not there, we know our environment, we know what's normal, what's abnormal. We all know our children, we know what they will and won't do. The house I raised my kids in, we had a magnolia tree about midway between the house and the street. And then closer to the edge of the street, we had some date trees, date palms. When my kids were playing in the yard, they knew not to go past those date palms, period. Because as long that was their boundary, they wouldn't run out in the street past that. They'll run around and throw a ball or ride bikes or whatever. But if there came a point when they needed to go past that date tree, they were going to get permission, or they were going to come and get me or their uncle or someone to go and get whatever it is, their ball, their toy, their whatever it is that went past that date tree. There was no fence. It was just a boundary. They were taught this is your stopping point. So it's very believable that Summer might have played outside. She might have ran all up and down around that house on the roof, down up under the little crawl space, out to her swing, and never go past that swing because she would have had an ingrained boundary that she knew don't go any further than this. So if my kids were out in the yard playing, and I know that they will not go past these date trees, and I have to run into to the house or whatever, grab a soda or turn off the stove or whatever, and I come back and one of my kids is not playing in the yard anymore. They're not in the backyard. They're not around the side. I know something's wrong because they're not going to leave my yard. They have a boundary. And I think that is what Don is saying. This is how he knew she was gone because she was nowhere she should have been, and she would never, on her own accord, have gone past this certain boundary. Looks like this video is going to play some more. Like I said, I'm not defending anyone. I just feel like when this interview came out, especially, people were so quick to become judgmental and critical of everything about this video. Like, there's not a part of this interview that I can't play and say, oh, nobody criticized that. Nobody jumped down their throats for this. And I just think that if we really have uh, the best interest of Summer and finding her under whatever circumstances, if that is really what's in our heart, then we have to be open to, maybe it wasn't it. We might not like how they look, how they act, how they talk. We might not like how they present themselves, but there is always the chance that what they're telling us is the truth. There's always that chance. While I've got the screen paused here, Don's eyes are kind of red, kind of bloodshot. People chalk that up to him drinking. But you notice they're kind of puffy too. Is it possible he was crying about his missing daughter? And on that note, Candus caught a lot of grief because people assume she wasn't acting the way that they think they would or how anyone should act under these circumstances. Mind you, this interview came out 2 weeks after Summer was missing, and they still had three other children in the home that needed to be taken care of. It's not possible for them to completely shut down. It's not possible for them to stop functioning and spend all day and all night crying in the corner, even though Summer is gone and even though the circumstances aren't the best. Now, me personally, I I couldn't sit here and tell you for sure that I would act a certain way if one of my children had ever come up missing. But knowing myself the way that I know myself, I cry in private. You're not going to see me, in general, you're not going to see me in public having a meltdown under any circumstances. Um, I cried at my great grandmother's funeral, who raised me, and that wasn't even long, but in private. I shed so many tears, I probably could have filled several gallon jugs. I wept and wailed and moaned about that. But in public, in front of other people, I had on my face. Um, One thing I have noticed in watching true crime and watching cases where it turns out that it was the parents or a boyfriend or a girlfriend that did something to this child, a lot of times people believe them because they cried, they were emotional, they were obviously distressed, and it was an act the whole time. Everyone handles emotional stress, pain different. We don't know what goes on in the closed doors of these people's houses. I'm getting carried away. Let's check out this video. Okay, pause already. Okay, on that, Candus said no one would ever treat her that way if I was there. And I think that is a reference to previous conversations. We can see that this is not like the really full interview. It's not complete from start to finish. There are places where the video skips. She was already talking when the video started, so we don't know what conversation they had before that point. But there is a point in this video where Dawn talks about how Summer likes to be outside. She's active, she likes to be outside, running free. And he is hoping that she's not somewhere locked up or, you know, being confined or mistreated. And so I have to think that Candus, when she said what she said, that it was a reference um, to that little type of conversation having been had already in this conversation about, you know, Summer possibly being abducted and mistreated. Um, we're gonna get to a point where Don is gonna say something. He's gonna apologize for speaking about Summer in the past tense and how people are really giving it to him about how he talks about her in the past tense. So he must know she's this or that. And he must have done this or that. And here's the thing: I speak in past tense about people all the time, including my kids. I might be talking to one of my kids and speaking about them in the past tense if I'm talking about something that happened in the past or a habit that they used to have that they no longer have. Um, at the point when he was speaking in past tense, he was recalling memories, things that he has done or that Summer has done prior. So if it happened in the past, it's past tense. Also, with Summer being missing, there's a there's a change in the state of being. He's speaking about things she used to do because right now she's not there. She's not doing those things right now. Before she was missing, she did those things, but she's missing now, so she no longer does those things at present. I think that the popularity of police dramas and crime scene dramas on TV and the quick handling and perfect solving of cases in movies and television have really kind of jaded our perspective on some things. But this is not a TV show. If you are if you're into the true crime genre, you know that this is real life. You know that law and justice and criminals and victims are not picture perfect like they are on your favorite primetime cop show. Uh, Someone speaking in past tense does not necessarily mean they know that someone is no longer with us. Uh, I would advise you to Google that because there are other circumstances that go along with that. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not any type of professional law enforcement person, but I am well read. Um, I have a very curious mind. I like to find out things. And although I cannot tell you specifically where I encountered the information, I can tell you that it's out there and you can find it. Psychologists and psychiatrists will tell you that speaking in past tense about someone does not necessarily mean guilty knowledge. It doesn't necessarily mean you did something to cause that person to no longer be present tense, or that you did something or you know about something being done that causes that person to no longer be present tense. Um, so Google that, look it up. We hear that a lot on these like crime shows, and I think people get hung up on that. And oh, they said past tense, they this, that, and the other. It's not necessarily true. It really isn't. It's not necessarily the case. Okay, I want you to listen very closely to this next few seconds in the video. Here is a major point of contention and something that kind of has really been grating my nerves. Everyone has been on such a rager to make Don this evil person, which, in all likelihood, from information that has come out, he ain't the nicest person in the world. And I'm trying to be polite with my commentary because, as I said, I want to, this video in particular, I want to present it as like from the mind frame when I first saw it, before we knew and heard all these other things, before the watering hole interview and all this other stuff. This particular part of the conversation, people have been saying Dawn insulted Candus by saying that Summer gravitated toward pretty women and therefore insinuating that Candus is not a pretty woman. But listen to this. Don does not say that Summer gravitated toward pretty women. His word specifically was professional women. Candus is the one who said pretty women. Listen closely. Okay, let me take that back a second. Listen, Don said, I love her with all my heart. I was watching a live stream here within the last 24 hours where someone insisted adamantly. Don is so selfish. All he does is say how much Summer loved him. He never says how much he loves her. From very early on, Don has expressed his love for his daughter. People attacked him for that statement as well. Um, when I first watched this interview, I took it as uh, I'm a realist, and what I've always heard is that when a child is abducted, they're usually gone within the first, what is it, 24 hours or first 72 hours, a relatively short period of time, considering that at this point in the investigation, Summer has now been missing for 14 days. So I took this as Don really just trying to brace himself, be prepared. You know, we say pray for the best and prepare for the worst. And I took that as he's just facing reality. There's a very good chance at this point that my daughter is no longer with us. And I think it takes a lot of courage, assuming, and again, I'm assuming innocence for the simple fact that I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm not a detective. I'm not. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I'm just somebody watching the news at this point. Assuming that he's innocent, it takes a lot of courage to face a truth or a potential truth like that, and especially to express it out loud. Okay, I said I was going to try to keep my streams to an hour or less. I'm not sure what the time limits or time constraints are on on this stuff. This is only my second video. Uh, last few little notes, things that stood out to me. I got like a page of notes on this video, but people commented about how Candus is high as a kite and all this other stuff. Well, think about this. She's probably medicated. If my child came up missing without a trace, somebody would have to give me some medicine. I just for me to be able to function to take care of myself, let alone three other children, and face the pressures of everything that might be going on in the investigation, people constantly asking questions, people wanting to know, people wanting her to recite uh, the incident over and over and over. Um, at this point, when I watched this interview originally, the things that I've said about this video, that is what I thought. Now, we do have other information, other interviews, other social media posts that have come out since then that make you think twice, make you scratch your head. And we will get to that eventually. I am not trying to make this my life's work. Um, I just kind of wanted to clarify a few things that I've heard and to kind of just put my voice out there with what I think is a little common sense. Um, so many people are coming across as holier than thou, as if they're perfect parents, perfect people. And not just in this case, but in other incidents of missing children. I would have never done that. I would have never said that. That would have never happened to my kid. You don't know that. People are knocking Candus and saying, there's no way someone disappeared that quick. Read up on John Walsh's son, Adam Walsh. What they constantly say is that Adam Walsh came up missing in 7 seconds, the next aisle over from his mother in the store. It can happen. I have kids. There have been instances where we've been in public. I turn away and turn right back, literally right back. Just a few seconds. You lose sight of a kid because they move. And you have to consider, no matter what we think about Candace and Dawn, we still have to consider the possibility that someone outside of their household has someone took her and it wasn't one of them. We have to consider that possibility. Um, the police have not named Candace or Dawn as a suspect. Neither of them have been arrested. Their kids have been removed, but from what we've been told, the only verifiable information that we have, their removal has nothing to do with Summer being missing. So I just think maybe we need to stop projecting onto this, stop making up fanciful stories and wild theories and hurling accusations. And like I said, there's been some new information that came out about Don that makes you think twice and three times about him and his possible role. And we will get to that eventually in another video. I really wanna talk about that. Um, I really want to talk about that. But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end this live. I'm kind of new at this, so forgive me if this broadcast was a little rough, not quite together. This is literally my second video, and I'm learning. I'm learning. Thank you for, I believe I had 2 people stop by and check out this video. Thank you for taking the time to stop and look. If you have some pointers for me, feel free. Drop me a line, hit me a comment. Hey, you could tighten up on this. You could do that better. I couldn't hear you talking. Whatever. I am more than willing to drop a link in the chat if anybody wants to get up here and talk to me in a future video. More minds, better thoughts. Anyway, I'm out of here. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you for taking the time to hear my 2 cents.